This time, we're really going deep, right into the latest season of Invincible.
Absolutely.
I mean, this season just threw everything at us, intense action, some really heavy emotional stuff. We're here to unpack it all, make sure you catch the key events, the character changes, and, the deeper ideas.
Exactly. It really felt like a pivotal season for so many characters.
Oh.
And look, if you want to understand not just what happened, but why and what it all means for Mark and everyone else going forward, this is where we get into it.
Okay, so let's start right after that brutal fight with Angstrom Levy.
Yep.
The season kicks off and you immediately see the aftermath. Mark's training with Cecil is ramped up significantly.
Oh, yeah.
But it felt like that initial sort of united front between them started showing cracks pretty fast. What were the first signs for you that things were maybe going sideways?
Well, it became pretty clear pretty quickly that their ideas about protecting Earth were diverging. Cecil's methods just got more and more ruthless, almost like he's trying to get ahead of things.
Yeah.
And relying on guys like Darkwing II and bringing back the Reaniman. I mean, these are characters with seriously dark histories. It showed he was willing to bend the rules, ethically speaking, in a way that just didn't sit right with Mark's, let's say, more idealistic view.
Yeah, it wasn't just about stopping the bad guys anymore.
Exactly. It was how they were stopping them.
And that tension, it just builds and builds until Mark gets locked up briefly in the White Room. That felt like, wow, just a major breach, showing how far apart they drifted. What did that moment really signal?
Oh, that was huge. Pivotal, like you said. It wasn't just locking him up physically. It was a complete breakdown of trust. It basically crystallized the season's core conflict. How far is too far to keep people safe?
Mm-hmm.
Cecil, he's carrying the weight of the world, sees Mark as maybe another potential problem to manage, but Mark sees Cecil's actions as betraying everything he's supposed to be fighting for.
And while all this is going on with Cecil, Mark's dealing with so much personally, too. His relationship with Adam Eve is getting deeper. He's trying to mentor Oliver, and you can just see the toll everything's taking on him. It's not just fighting villains, is it?
No. Not at all. And I think the season did a fantastic job showing the human cost of being a superhero. Mark wasn't just fighting monsters out there. He was battling his own trauma, the pressure, trying to keep relationships together when his life is just constant crisis.
Yeah.
Seeing him vulnerable like that, it made him feel really grounded, just the young guy trying to handle these insane circumstances, but still feeling all the normal human stuff.
Then, bam, the Invincible War. Angstrom Levy just unleashes this nightmare, all these evil versions of Mark from other dimensions. It was visually spectacular, sure, but what was the deeper impact on Mark himself?
That whole Invincible War, it felt like Livy was putting Mark through a psychological meat grinder, having to fight evil versions of himself over and over. It forced him to look at the potential for darkness in himself.
Yeah.
It had to shake his whole sense of who he is, questioning if he's inherently good. It was brutal. A lesson in how fragile your sense of self can be.
And the collateral damage was immense. Rexplode sacrifice, that hit hard. Really shocking.
Oh, definitely.
It just hammered home how high the stakes were, that nobody's truly safe, not even the heroes. How did that loss feed into Mark's journey this season?
Rex's death was just this stark, painful reminder of the real cost of these fights. It shattered any leftover illusions about being, invincible.
Yeah.
And it definitely fueled Mark's growing cynicism, I think. It highlighted the huge personal sacrifices they make. And arguably, it sort of paved the way for some of the tougher, maybe morally gray choices he makes later on.
Which leads us right to Conquest. My God, that fight was just savage. Relentless power, pure brutality. What did that confrontation ultimately force Mark to face about himself?
That fight with Conquest was like a trial by fire. It pushed Mark past every limit, physical, emotional. He had to stare down the possibility of total failure and consider the desperate things he might have to do to protect everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right there in that horrific battle that we saw him make that decision, crossing a line he swore he never would.
Let's dig into that. Mark tipping into moral ambiguity this season felt really significant. It's a big change from the clearer-cut hero we started with. What pushed him down that path, do you think?
Well, it wasn't just one thing, was it? It was sort of a perfect storm. The trauma from fighting his evil selves, getting disillusioned with Cecil's whole approach, the constant danger to his family, his friends.
Yeah.
All that stuff just chipped away at his black and white view of heroism. He kept getting backed into corners, forced into impossible choices. And you could see the weight of those decisions starting to blur his own lines of right and wrong. Made him consider things he wouldn't have before.
And breaking his no-kill rule against Conquest. That felt like crossing the Rubicon, didn't it? What are the long-term consequences of that going to be for him, you think?
Oh, that's a massive shift for his character. No going back easily from that. It brings up huge questions about what heroism even means and how even the most principled people can break when they're pushed far enough.
Right.
The psychological burden of taking a life like that, especially so brutally, that's going to stick with him. It'll shape him going forward.
Yeah.
It's a heavy weight to carry now.
Then you've got Omni-Man, Nolan. What a journey for him. From the ultimate villain in season 1 to something much more complicated. His scenes with Alan the alien this season really suggested a big internal shift.
Right.
What moments stood out?
What's so fascinating with Nolan is watching his Viltrumite programming slowly erode, his time on Earth, his relationships, they changed him. And talking with Alan, you saw real empathy developing, him actually questioning Viltrum's whole rigid ideology. The fact that he was willing to fight with Alan, even against other Viltrumites, that's a huge break from his past loyalties. It definitely hints at potential new alliances down the road.
And Adam Eve. Her power upgrade this season was wild, discovering she can basically rebuild herself after that beatdown from Conquest. That's huge. What does that mean for her role now?
That's a total game changer for Eve.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, it makes her way more powerful, practically immortal in a sense. But it also deepens her bond with Mark, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
They've both been through these near-death things that change them fundamentally, gives them this unique understanding. It'll be interesting to see how it affects her choices, her agency as a hero.
And Cecil, back to him, his whole ends justify the means thing. You kind of get the pressure he's under, but his tactics, they often feel really questionable ethically. What do you think the show's trying to explore there about leadership?
Well, that clash between Cecil's very pragmatic, almost utilitarian view and Mark's idealism, it forces you to ask hard questions, right, about leadership in a crisis. Yeah. The show seems to be digging into how, even if you have the best intentions, compromising your core values can be dangerous. It can undermine the very things you're trying to protect. Does the greater good really justify doing morally shady things?
Good question. Visually, the season kept up that amazing animation style. It really pops during those huge action scenes. The Invincible war, the Conquest fight made them feel just as big and brutal as they needed to be.
Oh, absolutely. The animation quality is so consistent, and it's key to the show's power. It delivers on the epic superhero scale, but it also captures the small emotional beats on the characters' faces. Adds so much depth. You feel every punch, every emotional hit.
And the voice actors just keep killing it. Stephen Yeun, J.K. Simmons, Gillian Jacobs, Jeffrey Dean Morgan showing up. They bring so much life to these characters. Any performances really jump out for you this season?
Stephen Yeun is Mark. You could just hear the growing exhaustion and that moral conflict in his voice. It was really powerful. J.K. Simmons, of course, is brilliant as Omni-Man, balancing that Viltrumite coldness with his emerging humanity. And Gillian Jacobs really sold Eve's newfound strength and resilience this season. Really compelling stuff.
So zooming out, the season tackled some big themes. Moral ambiguity was right there at the center, wasn't it? The lines between hero and villain felt way blurrier.
Yeah, definitely. The season leaned right into the gray areas, show that good intentions don't always guarantee good results, and the choices heroes make can have messy, unintended consequences. It really challenged the simple black and white hero narrative.
And the whole legacy and identity theme was huge too, especially with Mark constantly fighting against his father's shadow, trying to figure out his own place. That classic struggle, right? Defining yourself versus where you came from.
Exactly. Mark's whole arc is this push and pull between his Viltrumite side and his human side. He's desperately trying to forge his own identity as a hero, completely separate from Nolan's destructive past. The season showed that internal fight and the external pressures really well.
We also kept seeing ideas of redemption and forgiveness pop up. With Omni-Man, obviously, but maybe even with Cecil in some ways. Can people truly make up for past wrongs? The show seems to be asking that.
And it doesn't give easy answers, which I appreciate. It paints redemption as this really hard, complicated road. You need real remorse. You need to actually change. And maybe, just maybe, you can earn forgiveness. It suggests that while the past leaves scars, growth is still possible, even if it's tough.
And how about those season 4 hints? That post-credit scene with Damien Darkblood, Seemed like it was bringing in a more supernatural angle. What'd you make of that?
Yeah, that definitely felt like broadening the scope of threats, didn't it?
Yeah.
Introducing demons and supernatural stuff adds a whole new layer to the Invincible universe, opens up all sorts of new conflict possibilities.
And Angstrom Levy getting revived means the whole multiverse mess is definitely not over.
Not by a long shot.
Feels like the fallout from the Invincible War is going to keep causing problems.
Absolutely. Levy being back guarantees his actions will keep having repercussions. He wants revenge, plus there's still the potential for more multiverse craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sets up more high-stakes trouble for Mark and everyone.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, Season 3 was just a massive game-changing season for Invincible. Huge character shifts, brutal fights with real consequences, and some seriously cheery themes about morality, legacy, what it means to be a hero.
Agreed.
Definitely leaves you hungry for what's next.
Totally. It raised the stakes emotionally and action-wise. The characters went through the ringer, internally and externally, and they're fundamentally changed. It's great storytelling that it can handle such dark, complex stuff, but still be this thrilling superhero show.
It really does make you think about what hero even means anymore in that world, doesn't it? With the lines blurring so much, the threats getting bigger. What does being invincible truly entail now? Definitely something to chew on until next season. Thanks for diving in with us.